was accessed.
So you don't use it all.
It's not a cost to you to volunteer at all, so you get a small.
Age-Friendly Raymond began as a conversation with State Representative Jessica Fay. She brought to a few of us her concern regarding aging here in Maine. That led to our first age-friendly meeting, where Jess was a big part of getting that organized.
As a member of the legislature's Aging Caucus, and the Legislative Caucus on Aging is a group of representatives and state senators who are interested in the issue and concerned about legislation that will impact older people. That group has monthly or bi-monthly meetings, and at one of those meetings we had a conversation about age-friendly community, and I was fascinated by it. It sounded like something that might address some of the issues that I had been hearing from constituents in the district. So I invited the speaker, her name is Jess Maurer. We talked about how important age-friendly community might be and gauged to see if there was any interest. And about a year and a half later, here we are with a strong group of volunteers who are working to make the community more age-friendly for all of us.
From that meeting of about 40 residents here in Raymond, Age-Friendly Raymond was born. We began to focus on senior needs here in Raymond. That led us to town support. We applied to AARP Maine and became an age-friendly community.
Laurie Parham, State Director for AARP Maine, explains how the age-friendly program came into existence in the United States.
This work really began through the World Health Organization. It's going on internationally. The WHO saw a need because of the aging demographics across the world, and they decided they wanted to do something about it, but they weren't really sure where to begin. So to start their work, they actually decided to talk to older people in different countries around the world, and they asked older people what they needed to live comfortably at home and in their communities. And this feedback through focus groups turned into a set of characteristics that really define the work. Issues like transportation and housing, civic engagement and employment, being connected to others. AARP was proud to partner with the World Health Organization beginning in 2012 to implement this work in the United States. Across the country, AARP is working in communities, and I'm proud to say that Maine leads the nation in the number of age-friendly communities, the number of communities that have gotten involved.
The town of Raymond is very happy to support our volunteer age-friendly committee. This is something that's happening across Maine, across the country. Various volunteer efforts are underway to ensure that there's programming and activities available for elderly populations. People who come to Raymond to relocate are oftentimes older than 40 years old, and so we are working actively with our local age-friendly committee to see if there aren't ways for the town to improve its programming activities and services to meet the needs of this demographic.
AARP meets in session as a subgroup up in Augusta, and they presented the concept of the AARP livable community, she is certainly aware of the nature of the aging population in Raymond, in Maine, and specifically in Raymond. And we got a bunch of demographics from AARP that confirmed to us that indeed we are becoming more senior as a community. And we know we have geography issues because the town has not a lot of people and a whole lot of land. So that we expect that there are issues with isolation and transportation and communications. So I think the people that came to the early meetings were people who didn't know necessarily what we needed, but knew that we needed something.
Yeah.
Communication and transportation are two very big issues that come up time and again in the surveys that we're seeing from our communities, especially because of Maine's population, because especially in the most rural areas, transportation is a huge issue. Folks tend to drive less as they get older. Maine winters are difficult for older drivers. They'd prefer not to be on the road in the ice and snow. And then you've also got our very short days in winter. Broadband and connectivity is another issue that comes up. How do folks stay connected to each other? Are there opportunities to keep people from being isolated, to get together, to see their friends and neighbors, meet new people? And so many of our communities are looking to put those kinds of activities in place, and I know Raymond is as well.
While the age-friendly community in Raymond continues to evolve, the organizers bring activities and speakers to Raymond's age-friendly community.
We do a lot of training, so we do monthly trainings for all of our volunteers, so that's one of the other benefits is kind of that continued education. We do training on a lot of really interesting things. We try to do things that will help you in your volunteering, but then also help you, just for daily living things, or things that would help provide resources to all of you.
Heather has kind of adopted Raymond for her projects this year, and she'll be talking to you in detail today about the window dresser program, but she is also going to be sponsoring a green job fair. We're going to try to do something local right here in Raymond.
This is a blank insert. It hasn't been touched yet. First, what we'll do is we'll have somebody go through and quality control. So we want to make sure that there's no black smudges, there's no chipped wood, anything like that. So the next step is that the one side of the inserts gets plastic wrap, which you can see to my left is what these volunteers are doing.
Feel for your energy. Show me where you're at. Yeah, it's a building block of Qigong and Tai Chi. What's the energy that we put out? If I'm not sitting straight, holding my spine up, I really don't have full control. Love the ice. It's so beautiful.
Well, that's cool. Look at that. How beautiful.
The worst?
The next thing, and we're about to conclude it, is our community assessment. That assessment will give us the information we need about what residents here in Raymond have identified as needs of this senior population. That will help us decide where we could go next.
I've actually looked at the results of the surveys, and one of the big glaring issues is communication. There's a lot that goes on in this community and nobody really knows what's going on. They depend on the Wyndham Eagle a lot for information, and we tried to communicate our meetings through the Eagle, but there's so much that's missing. So communication is a big one.
The next step of the survey process will involve Professor John Keneally and his economics students from St. Joseph's College.
A lot of our programs, including the business programs, try to incorporate community-based projects, and the Raymond Age-Friendly project was a really good fit for my marketing class on marketing research. So my students are going to be doing the analysis of the program. The process of the analysis involves taking the surveys and first of all, tabulating the results of the surveys, and then coming up with some statistical analyses of that. So there's one component related to that which is not particularly attractive, more hard data analysis, and then the other side is the side that involves a little bit more creativity, where we look at the analysis and think in terms of what does that mean and what recommendations seem to follow with respect to that.
We have presented to the town. We presented in June this past year, gave them an update. They're very supportive so far But again, they're waiting for the results of the survey as well so that they can act on that. But we have had discussions with some of the town people, and yeah, I think that it's very positive.
Yep. And we're doing our own fundraising. We've had 2 events, and fundraising is almost not what we're doing. What we were trying to do is create visibility for our organization. We had a big yard sale. We had a wonderful turnout. We had a lot of people fill out the survey. And I think the difference there, Mosquito being the wonderful ice cream place that it is, attracts people from everywhere. So if we had 20 people, 2 or 3 of them were from Raymond. So it was great to talk about it. It was great to say to someone from Yarmouth, you're already doing this. Go look into it if you're interested. So a lot of us are so anxious to make this happen that we're not necessarily willing to wait for it to evolve the way it needs to. So the survey is going to give us that focus, and the fundraisers helped us to get the word out there.
The needs are great, the ideas are plentiful, and just as an example, our group won the National Challenge Grant competition. We were one of 169 in the United States that won grant money to do a project. So we came up with the intergenerational adaptive garden. And our purpose really was to bring, again, our community together. It's right next to our children's garden, and it has accessible beds, adaptive garden tools, and shade. And we'll be working with our library to have programming that will involve our kids and our seniors together. This will allow them to learn from each other and grow.
Raymond has a wonderful group of local residents who are volunteering their time to make Raymond an even better place to grow old. AARP Maine will continue to support Raymond as they implement an action plan and look at the areas where they want to work to make Raymond an even better place to live. So we'll continue to provide that support, but they're doing the work right there on the ground. And there's so much energy and passion, and it's great to see what's going on. We loved the intergenerational work that's going on. They were one of our challenge grant winners, and our role is really just to help to support them as they see the programs they need for their community.
As it continues to develop, Raymond's age-friendly community will strive to provide the best services for our growing older population, as well as attract our youth to be actively involved. Upon completion of the analysis of the survey, there will be many opportunities for everyone to get involved. Our age-friendly group is looking forward to your help in making Raymond one of the best communities to live in.